They came for Sunwood. A note of pride entered her voice. We have 2 tree singers in Stedding Tsofu. They are rare now. I have heard that Stedding Shangtai has a young tree singer who is very talented, but we have 2. Loyal blushed, but she did not appear to notice. If you will come with me, I will show you where you may wait until the elders have spoken. As they followed her, Perrin muttered, Sunwood, my left foot. Those Aiel are searching for he who comes with the dawn. And Matt added dryly, they're looking for you, Rand. For me? That is crazy. What makes you think? He cut off as Aerith showed them down the steps of a wildflower-covered house apparently set aside for human guests. The rooms were 20 paces from stone wall to stone wall, with painted ceilings a good 2 spans above the floor. But the Ogier
hey, Caucasian Sasquatch, how you doing, bro?
Comfortable for humans. Even so, the furniture was a little too large for comfort. The chairs tall enough to lift a man's heels off the floor. The table higher than Rand's waist. Buren, at least, could have walked erect in the stone fireplace, which
lemon ginger tea for my bronchitis.
Made by hands.
A little bit of honey in it.
Loyal doubtfully, but he waved away her concern and pulled one.
How's your night going, Caucasian Sasquatch?
As soon as the older girl left, Rand got Matt and Perrin over to one side. What do you mean they're looking for me? Why? For what reason? They looked right at me and went away. They looked at you, Matt said with a grin, like you hadn't bathed in a month and had doused yourself with sheep dip besides. His grin faded. But they could be looking for you. We met another Aiel. Rand listened in growing amazement to their tale of the meeting in Kinsale.
Oh shit, yeah, that sucks when you pass out early and end up waking up. Yeah, pretty much up.
Matt made a great show of how dangerous the Aielman had been. Close the meeting had come to a fight. And since you're the only Aiel we know, he finished, well, it could be you. Ingtar says Aiel never live outside the waste, so you must be the only one. I don't think that's funny, Matt. Rand growled. I am not an Aiel. The Amulet said you are. Ingtar thinks you are. Tam said he was sick. They had severed the roots he had thought he had, the Aes Sedai and Tam between them, though Tam had been too sick to know what he was saying. They had cut him loose to tumble before the wind, then offered him something new to hold on to. False dragon, Aiel. He could not claim those for roots. He would not. Maybe I don't belong to anyone, but the 2 Rivers is the only home I know. I didn't mean anything, Matt protested. It's just... Burn me, Ingtar says you are, Massima says you are, Urian could have been your cousin, and if Rion put on a dress and said she was your aunt, you'd believe it yourself. Oh, all right. Don't look at me like that, Perrin. If he wants to say he isn't, all right. What difference does it make anyway? Perrin shook his head. Ogier girls brought water and towels for washing faces and hands, and cheese and fruit and wine with pewter goblets a little too large to be comfortable in the hand. Other Ogier women came too, their dresses all embroidered. One by one they appeared, a dozen of them all told, to ask if the humans were comfortable, if they needed anything. Each turned her attentions to Loyal just before she left. She respectfully, but in as few words as Rand had ever heard him use, standing with an Ogier-sized wood-bound book clutched to his chest like a shield. And when they went, he huddled in his chair with the book held up in front of his face. The books in the house were one thing not sized for humans. Just smell this air, Lord Rand, Durin said, filling his lungs with a smile. His feet dangled from one of the chairs at the table. He swung them like a boy. I never thought most places smelled bad. This, Lord Rand, I don't think there's ever been any killing here. Not even any hurting, except by accident. The Stedding are supposed to be safe for everyone, Rand said. He was watching Loyal. That's what the stories say, anyway. He swallowed the last bit of white cheese and went over to the Ogier. Matt followed with a goblet in his hand. What's the matter, Loyal? Rand said. You've been as nervous as a cat in a dog yard ever since we came here. It is nothing, Loyal said, giving the door an uneasy glance from the corner of his eye. Are you afraid they'll find out you left Stedding Shangtai without permission from your elders? Loyal looked around wildly, the tufts on his ears vibrating. Don't say that, he hissed.
Not where anyone can hear. If they found out.
With a heavy sigh, he slumped back, looking from Rand to Mac.
I don't know how humans do it, but among Ogier, if a girl sees a boy she likes, she goes to her mother. Or sometimes the mother sees someone she thinks is suitable. In any case, if they agree, the girl's mother goes to the boy's mother, and the next thing the boy knows, his marriage is all
Hope everyone's having a good night out there and staying
Doesn't
safe.
the boy have any say in it?
None. The women always say we would
And
spend
stay
our lives
warm
buried
'cause all
in
this
the
cold
trees,
weather we've been
who's left
getting.
once.
Boyle shifted, grimacing.
Half of our marriages take place between steading. Groups of young Ogier visit from steading to steading so they can see and be seen. If they discover I'm outside without permission, the elders will almost certainly decide I need a wife to settle me down. Before I know it, they'll have sent a message to Steading Shangtime to my mother, and she will come here and have me married before she washes the dust off her journey. I am too hasty and need a wife. I think she was looking when I left. Whatever wife she chooses for me, well, any wife at all, won't let me go back outside until I have gray in my beard. Wives always say no man should be allowed outside until he's settled enough to control his temper.
Mac gave a guffaw loud enough to draw every head, but at Boyle's frantic gesture, he spoke softly. Among us, men do the choosing, and no wife can stop him from doing what he wants. Rand frowned, remembering how Egwene had begun following him around when they were both little. It was then that Mistress Alvir had begun taking a special interest in him, more than in any of the other boys. Later, some girls would dance with him on feast days, and some would not. And those who would were always Egwene's friends, while those who would not were girls Egwene did not like. He also seemed to remember Mistress Alvir taking Tam aside, and she was muttering about Tam not having a wife for her to talk to. And after that, Tam and everyone else had acted as if he and Egwene were promised, even though they had not knelt before the women's circle to He had never thought about it. Things between Egwene and him had always just seemed to be the way they were, and that was that. I think we do it the same way, he muttered. When Matt laughed, he added, "Do you remember your father ever doing anything your mother really didn't want him to?" Matt opened his mouth with a grin, then frowned thoughtfully and closed it again. Juan came down the steps from outside.
If you please, will all of you come with me? The elders would see.
Damn, that sucks, Caucasian Sasquatch. Definitely know how that is, and fucking waiting for that money to come in and you're already running down low.
I'll bet it isn't about you at all, Matt said. I'll bet they're just going to say we can use the Waygate. He shook himself, and his voice fell even lower.
Well, ramen ain't bad. That fill you up.
Stay and get married. We'll travel the way. Life is very unsettling with Taviran for friends.
But I hope, definitely hope you get your check here, like tomorrow or here real soon.
As Juan took them through the Ogier town, Rand saw that Loyal was growing more and more anxious. Loyal's ears were as stiff as his back. His eyes grew bigger every time he saw another Ogier looking at him, especially the women and girls, and a large number of them did seem to take notice of him. He looked as if he expected his own execution. The bearded Ogier gestured to wide steps leading down into a grassy mound that was bigger by far than any other. It was a hill for all practical purposes, almost at the base of one of the great trees. "Why don't you wait out here, Loyal?" Rand said.
The elders,
Juan began. "Probably just want to see the rest of us," Rand finished for him.
Damn, that really sucks, Caucasian Sasquatch.
Loyal nodded vigorously.
Like, if I had anything, I would help you out, bro, but I'm pretty much in the same boat.
From white-haired grandmothers to daughters Aeriths.
Broken.
A knot of them
My next check don't come in till the first of next month.
His ears jerked, but he looked at the broad door.
I'll be right back. I gotta go throw this in the kitchen real quick.
yes, I will sit out here and I'll read. That is it. I will read.
Fumbling in his coat pocket, he produced a book. He settled himself on the mound beside the steps, the book small in his hands, and fixed his eyes on the pages.
I will just sit here and read until you come out.
His ears twitched as if he could feel the women's eyes. Juan shook his head, then shrugged and motioned to the steps again.
If you please, the elders are waiting.
The huge windowless room inside the mound was scaled for Ogier, with a thick beamed ceiling more than 4 spans up. It could have fit in any palace, or size at least. The 7 Ogier seated on the dais directly in front of the door made it shrink a little by their size, but Rand still felt as if he were in a cavern. The somber floor stones were smooth, if large and irregular in shape, but the gray walls could have been the rough side of a cliff. The ceiling beams, rough-hewn as they were, looked like great roots. Except for a high-backed chair where Baron sat facing the dais, the only furnishings were the heavy, vine-covered chairs of the elders. The Ogier woman in the middle of the dais sat in a chair raised a little higher than those of the others. 3 bearded men to her left in long, flaring coats, 3 women to her right in dresses like her own, embroidered in vines and flowers from neckline to hem. All had aged faces and pure white hair, even to the tufts on their ears, and an air of massive dignity. Buren gaped at them openly, and Rand felt like staring himself. Not even Baron had the appearance of wisdom that was in the elders' huge eyes. No more gaze in their crown, their authority. No more reign, their calm serenity. Ingtar was the first to bow, as formally as Rand had ever seen from him, while the others still stood rooted.
I am Anna,
The Ogier woman on the highest chair said.
Hey, Rested, how you doing, bro?
Places beside Baron.
Hope you're doing good.
eldest of the elders of Stedding Soulful. Baron has told us that you have need to use the Waygate here. To recover the Horn of Valir from Dark Friends is a great need indeed.
How's your night going? How's your night going, Arrested?
Traveled the ways in more than 100 years. Neither us nor the elders of any other Stedding.
I will find a horn, Ingtar said angrily.
Oh, yeah, that's
I
good.
must. If you will not permit us to use the Waygate. He fell silent as Baron looked at him. The scowl remained on his face. Alar smiled.
Be not so hasty, Shynauren. You humans
Hell yeah.
time for thought.
I'm just chilling.
Only decisions
Trying to smoke a little bit. I've actually been working on this bowl for about 3
Her smile faded to
days.
seriousness, but her voice kept its own measured calm.
My bronchitis don't let me smoke too much. At least at night. It's weird.
Not charging our evil or ravening trollocs.
Excuse me. Me and my brother can smoke throughout the day, and it doesn't affect it too much. But when I come here at
We
night
have seen much in
and
Shin,
try to smoke a
Rand
bowl,
said, and Matt and Perrin agreed.
it
They could not
agitates
manage
it more for
to
some
do it.
reason.
I will follow the horn to Shale Ghul itself, if need be. Ingtar
Yeah?
said firmly. Buren only nodded as if
Ha-
including
we
himself
have to
in
get
Ingtar's
some.
words.
Bring
Yeah, that probably would help.
Allah commended, and Juan, who had remained by the door, bowed and left.
It is not enough, she told Baron. To hear what can happen, you must see it. Know it.
I got a little bit of wax that, as long as I
Comfortable silence until
do a
Juan
cold
returned.
start and not a very big one,
Still, as 2
I'm
Ogier women
okay.
followed him, guiding a dark figure ears who shambled between them as if he did not quite know how his legs worked. His face sagged without any expression at all, and his big eyes were vacant and unblinking. Not staring, not looking, not even seeming to see. One of the women gently from the corner of his mouth. They took his arms to stop him. His foot went forward, hesitated, then fell back with a thump. He seemed as content to stand as to walk, or at least as uncaring.
Trail was one of the last among us to go along the ways.
Alar said something.
He came out as you see. Will you touch him, Ben?
Baron gave her a long look, then rose and strode to Trail. He did not move as she laid her hands on his wide chest. Not even a
Oh, it's
flicker
not
of
too
an eye
much
to
work.
acknowledge her touch. With a sharp hiss, staring up at him, to face the elders.
my brother's got a magic butter machine.
This body lives, but there is
Just throw the butter in there,
nothing.
the smoke, and push the
Every
button, and
elder
it
wore a look
pretty
of
much does the
unbearable
rest.
sadness.
Nothing.
One of the elders to Alar's right said softly. Her eyes seemed to hold all the
Right,
Trails
sometimes-
no longer could.
There's,
Don't mind.
there's always hope.
So
Uh,
nothing of Trail remains but his body. He He was a fine tree singer.
One of the men sighed.
And the machine he
Allard
has
motioned,
too,
two women turned trail.
not only does it make the butter,
They had to move him
but you
before
can
he
push
began
another
to
button
walk.
and it'll make
We know
like
the
Teamsters
risks, Aaron said.
and whatnot that
But
you can
whatever the
use.
risks, we must follow
And
the
then
law.
another button you can actually infuse
The
like
eldest
your
nodded.
cooking oils, like olive oil or avocado oil, for
I don't know whether it is
more
Mr.
edible
Rose
work.
that is in dark friend hands.
or to cook more edibles, anyways. Yeah, but it's called a magic butter. It's just a little setup that, and you have to, even after you're already all done with it, has a clean mode.
I will show you to the way gate myself.
Rand was feeling afraid when she added,
That's usually how we
You
make
must
our
be
butters
Loyal,
with that.
Loyal, son of Horror, son of Holland.
Because last time we had
He is far from his home.
a pound of
Rand said quickly. His words slowed under surprise.
Panama Red, I think it was.
But he went on stubbornly.
And then we had a pound of butter of some
We need him to go with us. And he wants to.
I think it was either Big Mac or Mac berries
Aaron
of
said, at
butter.
the same time that Matt said, he doesn't get in the way, and he carries his own weight. Neither of them appeared comfortable at having the elders' focus shift to them, but they did not back down.
And we got more
Is there some reason he
in the
cannot come with us?
freezer
Ingtar asked.
that we could use to
As Matt
make
says,
more
he has
butter
held his own.
or make boba
I
hash
don't know
out
that
of.
we need him. But if he wants to come, why? We do need him, Baron broke in smoothly. Few any longer know the ways, but Loyal has studied them. He can decipher the guidings. Alar eyed them each in turn, then settled to a study of Rand. She looked as if she knew things. All the elders did, but she most of all.
But yeah, that machine is.
Says you are Tamira,
Excuse me.
and I can feel it in you. That I can do so means that you must be very
Right.
strongly Tamira.
Because right now they got me on
For such talents ever
of course, this
Have you drawn Loyal, son of Holland?
an antibiotic,
The web, the pattern.
a steroid to help my lungs,
I just want to find the horn.
another pill
Rand let the rest of it
to
down. Alar had not mentioned Matt's dagger.
help my lungs also,
The elders,
or for asthma.
some reason.
and then
Here's my friend.
on top of my 2 other blood pressure medicines I gotta take. So they have on like 5, 6 different medications now.
But Tamira, you will look after him, and when the weaving is done, you will see that he comes safely home to Steadin Shanghai.
I will, he told her. It had the feeling of a commitment, the swearing of an oath.
You will go to the way gate.
Outside, Loyal scrambled to his feet when they appeared, Alar and Baron leading. Ingtar sent Huronov at a run to fetch Uno and the other soldiers. Loyal eyed the eldest warily, then fell in with Rand at the rear of the procession. The Ogier women who had been watching him were all gone.
Did the elder say anything about me? Did she?
He peered at Alar's broad back as she ordered Juin to have their horses brought. She started.
Well,
off with
I'm
Baron,
starting to get better. My
allowing himself
the
away,
cough I had
to talk quietly.
it's not as bad as what it was.
Matt told Loyal,
So there was coughing so much to where
See, you got home safely as a babe.
my back would start hurting, my head would hurting, and then I would just start getting drenched in sweat
He
from
said you could come
the
with us.
coughing fits I would get like
That
afterwards.
made Matt chortle under his breath. It sounded odd coming from that drawn face. Loyal was twirling the stem. of the
I
two
definitely
blossoms
appreciate it,
between his
rested.
fingers. Did you go
But yeah, it's got a lot better than what it was.
Aaron gave it to me.
Loyal watched the yellow petals spin.
Thankfully, after the medicines they gave me for my, cause when I went in to my doctor, it was
Does that mean you don't
bronchitis and an ear infection.
What? Oh, no.
So they gave me antibiotics and all that. Once all that stuff's done,
She only gave me a flower.
the only medicines I'll be on then is
He took a book out of his pocket, though.
my 2
pressed the
blood
book
pressure
on
medicines.
shoulder.
I gotta take
As
one
he
during the
returned
day.
book, he murmured to himself,
That's for my blood
"Barely
pressure
got Rand to hear."
and to lessen the chances of me getting a stroke. And then the nighttime one,
Wheeze and double
it
over,
also for my
staggering
blood
along,
pressure
touching his sides.
and to
Loyal's
help my
cheeks
heart.
colored.
Well, she said it. I didn't.
Aaron wrapped Matt smartly on the top of his head with his knuckles. Nobody ever said Matt was handsome. He's just jealous.
Right,
That's
I
not
definitely
true,
hate taking
Matt said,
pills.
straightening abruptly. Thinks I'm handsome. She told me so more
I'd
than once.
be happy when I'm down to
So pretty.
Loyal
just
laughed.
having to take 2,
She has a face like a goat, Perrin said.
and that's just one morning, one at
Rand
night.
choked, trying to get his protests out. Rand grinned in spite of himself.
Yeah, I'm
Lisa was almost as pretty
in
as
March.
and this was almost like old times.
I'll be
almost like being
44,
back home,
I think.
wandering back and forth, and nothing more important in the world than a laugh and twitting the other fellow. As
So I
they
think I'm
made their
like
way through the town,
4 years older than you.
bowing or curtsying,
I'll be
eyeing
44
visitors with interest. Although
or
his
45,
secretaries
one
kept
of the
anyone
two.
from stopping to speak, though. The only thing
Let
they
me see.
indicated when they left the town was the absence of the mounds. There were still Ogier about, examining trees or sometimes working with pitch and saw or axe, where there were dead limbs or where a tree needed more sunlight. They handled the tasks tenderly. Juin joined them, leading their horses, and Huron came riding with Uno and the other soldiers and the pack horses. Just before
Yeah, I'll be
Alvar pointed and said,
44 in March.
It is over there.
the banter died. Rand felt a momentary surprise. The waygate had to be outside the steading. The ways had been begun with the one power. They could not have been made inside. But there was nothing to indicate they had crossed the boundary.
Oh shit, is it
Then
February?
he realized there was a difference.
Oh, February
A sense
2nd?
of
Oh
something
shit.
lost that he had
Happy
felt
late
since
birthday,
the steading
Caucasian
was gone.
Sasquatch.
That gave him another sort of chill.
So we're just,
was there
well,
again, waiting.
almost a month apart, because mine would be
Allah led them past
March
Tall
6th.
Oak, there in a small clearing,
So the
stood a big
6th
slab
of March,
wood
I'll be
in front of it
44.
delicately worked and tightly woven vines and leaves from 100 different plants. Around the edge of the clearing, the Ogier had built a low stone coping that seemed as if it had grown there, suggesting a circle of roots. The look of it made Rand uncomfortable.
Yeah, anything's appreciated, rested, you know that.
Were those of bramble and briar, burning leaf and itch oak. The eldest stopped short of the coping.
About 4 years.
Is meant to warn
Because I was born in 79.
Not that many of us do. I myself will not cross it, but you may.
I think I have my
Did not go as
PayPal.
close as
Let me
she
pin
did.
my PayPal up
Rubbing his
there.
hands in the front of his coat, would not look at the waygate. Thank you,
Oh, there it is.
Rand told her. The need is great, or I would not have asked it. Rand tensed as the Aes Sedai stepped over the coping and approached the waygate. Loyal took a deep breath and muttered to himself. The rest of the soldiers shifted in their saddles and loosened swords in their scabbards. There was nothing along the ways against which a sword would be any use. But it was
Yeah, I
something against
definitely
itself.
wish I would have
Only
taken
Uthar
care of
the
my
Aes Sedai
body
said,
a lot more than what I did when I was younger, instead of just banging it up the way I did.
Sorely, and Rand leaned forward intently. He knew an urge to assume the void, to be where he could reach Sidene if he needed to. The greenery carved across the waygate stirred in an unfelt breeze, leaves fluttering as a gap opened down the center of the mass, and the two halves began to swing open. Rand stared at the first crack. There was no dull, silvery reflection behind it, only blackness blacker than pitch. "Close it!" he shouted. "The black wind! Close it!" Baron took one startled look and thrust the three-pointed leaf back in among all the buried leaves already there. It stayed when she took her hand away and back toward the coping. As soon as the Alvin de Sorley...
I didn't even know you're in your 40s already, rested. Thought you were a little younger.
Vines and leaves merging, hiding the blackness of Munchin Chin. And the waygate was only stone again, if stone carved in a nearer semblance of life than seemed possible. Allah let out a shuddering breath.
Watching
Sit
so
down.
close.
It didn't try to come out. Jewel made a strangled sound. I have told you. The black wind is a creature. I cannot leave them. She sounded calm, but she still wiped her hands on her skirt. Rand opened his mouth, then gave it up. And yet, she went on, I wonder at it being here. First in Kyrie and now here. She gave Rand a sidelong glance that made him jump. The look was so quick that he did not think anyone else noticed it, but to Rand it seemed to connect him with the black wind.
I have heard of this.
Alar said slowly.
Oh, yeah, I definitely appreciate that, Arrested.
It always roamed the waves, but it has been long, and perhaps the black wind
Oh,
hungers.
yeah.
Hopes to catch some unwary one entering the
Yeah. Thank you, Arrested. Definitely appreciate it, brother.
this weekend. And however great your need, I cannot say I am sorry. The ways belong to the shadow now.
Brand frowned at the way gate. There were too many questions. Had Fane somehow ordered the Black Wind? Varen said it could not be done. Why would Fane demand that he follow, then try to stop him? He only knew that he believed the message. He had to go to Tumlin Head. If they found the Horn of Valir and Matt's dagger under a bush tomorrow, he still had to go. Varen stood with eyes unfocused in thought. Matt was sitting on the coping with his head in his hands, and Perrin watched him worriedly. Loyal seemed relieved that they could not use the Waygate, and ashamed. Done for here, Ingtar. Varen said, I followed you here against my better judgment. But I can no longer follow. I mean to return to Kyrian. Barthanes can tell me where the Dark Friends went, and somehow I will make him do it. Thane went to Tumlin Head, Bran said wearily. And where he went, that's where the horn is and the dagger. I suppose, Perrin shrugged reluctantly. I suppose we could try another Waygate and another Steading. Loyal stroked his chin and spoke quickly as if to make up for his relief at the failure here.
Steading Canton lies just above the river Ironel, and Steading Tajan is east
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, we want to do that drive on my birthday either, Caucasian Sasquatch.
Where the grove was is closer. And the
Especially that long of a distance.
is closest of all.
Whichever Waygate we try to use, Baron said absently, I fear we will.
I try to do as little as possible on my birthdays most of the
Alar
time.
looked at her questioningly, but the eyes said no more than anyone could hear. She muttered to herself instead, shaking her head as if arguing with herself. What we need, Euron said diffidently, is one of those portal stones. He looked to Alar, then Varen, and when neither told him to stop, he went on, sounding increasingly confident. The Lady Selene said those old Sedai had studied those worlds, and that was how they knew how to make the ways. And that place we were, well, it only took us 2 days less to travel 100 leagues. If we could use a portal stone to go to
Sending you
that
to
world,
other
or one
screens.
like it, why, it'd take no more than a week or two to reach the Arth Ocean. And we could come back right on Tumlin Head. Maybe it isn't so quick as the ways, but it's a long sight quicker than riding off west.
Oh,
What do you say, Lord Ingtar?
okay. I'm not sure why it does that.
What you suggest might be possible, Sniffer, but as well hope to open this Waygate again and find Machin Shin gone as hope to find a portal stone. I know none closer than the Aiel Waste, though we could go back into Kinslayer's dagger if you or Rand or Loyal think
I
we can
use
find that
it
stone again.
somewhat often.
Rand looked at Matt. His friend had lifted his head hopefully at this talk of the stones. A few
That's
words,
how I buy a lot of my
if they
my
simply
GG
rode
album
west,
patches is
that was
through my
everything to say
PayPal.
to him ahead. I can find it, Rand said reluctantly. He felt ashamed. Matt's going to die.
Oh yeah, it does. I think when I started my PayPal started up as a business account.
And you're afraid to channel the power.
I didn't know it would
Wants
do
to
that
go,
though.
Wants to come back. Twice more
Yeah, it's in
will
the
drive you mad.
Hobo Antiques.
What really made him afraid, though, was the eagerness that leaped inside him at the thought of channeling again, of feeling the power fill him, of feeling truly alive.
I do not understand this,
Alar said slowly.
the portal stones.
Because I have my PayPal, and I think my PayPal is actually set up on my PayPal with my Cash App is set up as a business one too for
Brown Abja knows many.
that's the one I made to sell my paracord crafts, all the stuff I make out of paracord and whatnot.
Only there are wonders in the light tower of which we do not dream. But if you can use a portal stone, there is no need for you to ride the Kinslayer's dagger. There is a stone not far.
And that right there is like a
The wheel weaves
A
as
metal
the
ring.
works, and the pattern provides what is needed.
just put in your
The
pocket.
absent look dropped from Baron's face altogether.
It hangs out and
Take us to it, she said briskly. We have lost more than enough time already. Chapter 37. What might be. Allah led them away from the waygate at a dignified pace.
Oh shit, that's crazy.
Anxious to leave the waygate behind.
Damn.
Matt, at least, looked ahead eagerly, and Kieran seemed confident, while Loyal appeared concerned more that Allah might change her mind about his going than about anything
Because it
else.
clips on your belt, but if you need it.
Bran did not hurry as he pulled Red along by the reins. He did not think Varen meant to use the stone herself. The gray stone column stood
Oh, yeah.
near a beach almost 100 feet tall and 4 paces thick. Bran would have thought it a big tree before he saw the grape trees.
This one,
There was no warning.
because I've sold plenty of these, and I had a buddy of mine that had a couple of them, and yeah, these will break bones. He popped one of his buddies just right there in the chest, and he broke dude's chest plate.
Spread out in a loose circle around the stone, and those afoot.
We stood it upright,
Oliver said.
when we found it many years ago, but we did not move.
I make those. I make
There is this
dog collars, dog leashes,
She went right up to
and
it.
it's all out of paracord. Which
I have always thought of it as a
the dog leashes,
It has
I
been
don't care how big your dog is, he ain't gonna break that leash unless he breaks the clip or your collar first.
somewhat understood. To us, it is only stone.
More than that, I hope. Varen's voice grew brisker. Eldest.
Oh shit, that's crazy.
Forgive us for our lack of ceremony in leaving you, but the wheel waits for no woman. At least we will no longer disturb the peace of your steading.
We called the stonemasons back from Kyrian,
Allah said.
but we still hear what happens in the world outside. False dragons, the great hunt of a horde. We hear, and it passes us by. I do not think Tarmangate will pass us by or leave us in peace. Fare you well, Varen, said I. All of you farewell, and may you shelter in the palm of the Creator's hand. Jewel,
She paused only for a glance at Boyle and a last monitoring look at Brandon. Then the Ogier were gone. There was a creaking of saddles as the soldiers shifted. Ingtar looked around the circle.
First attempt at donations.
Is this necessary, Varen, said I. Even if it can be done. We do not even know.
I haven't got enough
I still believe I can make my
subs to be able to do
If we
a
cannot
regular
be
live stream off my device. I gotta still use
then
StreamYards.
is as good a place to look as any other. More than once I've heard you say you would ride to Shale Ghoul if need be.
I'll get there eventually.
Do you hold back now at this? She gestured to the stone under the
'Cause
smooth.
most I do on my channels,
Ingtar's back stiffened.
I haven't really been doing update videos so much of my grows anymore.
Take us to Toman Head, or
It's
take us to
mainly
Shale Ghoul.
These
All the
lives
men
or
who rise at the end,
my
I will
gaming
follow you.
lives.
That is well, Ingtar.
In my gaming ones, I haven't been on it much. I'm waiting on
Portal Stone more recently than
a couple of games to come in from
she motioned
from my GameFly account that I have
to her at the stone.
on order.
You've used a portal stone? He glanced over his shoulder to
One I haven't played, but I heard it's supposed to be a pretty good one. Is
For me too.
The Witcher
Gave her a
3?
deep shrug.
What is it? The Wild Hunt.
Aaron looked at him blandly.
It's actually going to be
I
the
had never used a
complete edition, so it's going to have all the DLC and whatnot in it.
stone. I am well aware of my limits.
So I'm going to
I
give
was
that a go.
destroyed before I came close to channeling enough power to work a portal stone.
I may have to be careful trying to stream that one because from what I heard, that one has
But I don't know anything.
some nudity
He
in
led his
it.
horse
And
around the stone, looking
I don't think YouTube's going to appreciate that very
The one
much.
thing I remember is the symbol for our world. Salim showed me. I
But
don't
the
see
other
it.
game I have coming in
Of course not. Not on a stone in our world.
is
The symbols are aids in getting to a world. She shook her head.
Hogwarts Legacy.
What I would not give to talk with this girl of yours. Or better, to put my hands on her book. It is generally thought that no copies of Mirrors of the Wheel survive the breaking hole. Sarafella always tells me there are more books that we believe lost than I could credit waiting to be found.
Yeah, I heard about that on Cash App. There's some page you can go through and
I do know something.
request a refund from your Cash App, and they'll take the money
Stones stand for worlds.
back, or
Not all the worlds that might be.
still give the money back and put you in the hole.
Stone connects to every world, and And the Aes Sedai
Thankfully,
believed that
I haven't had that issue just so far.
Do you see nothing that sparks a memory? Nothing. If he found the right symbol, he could use it to find Fane and the Horn, to save Matt, to stop Fane hurting Emmons Field. If he found the symbol, he would have to touch Saidin. He wanted to save Matt and stop Fane, but he did not want to touch Saidin. He was afraid to channel, and he hungered for it like a starving man for food. I don't remember anything. They're inside. The symbols at the bottom indicate stones at other places. If you know the trick of it, you could take us, not to this same stone in another world, but to one of those others there, or even to one of them here.
Oh, damn, that
Somebody
sucks.
came to traveling, I think. But just as
Yeah, trying to figure that shit out sometimes is,
remembers the trick.
yeah, sometimes that's a little, that confuses me a lot.
Trying it might easily destroy us all. She pointed to two parallel wavy lines crossed by an odd squiggle, carved low on the column. That indicates a stone on Toman Head. It is one of three stones for which I know the symbol. The only one of those three I visited. And what I learned, after nearly being caught by the snows in the mountains of mist and freezing my way across Almoth Plain, was absolutely nothing. Do you play at dice or cards, Randall Thorpe? Matt's the gambler. Why? Yes. Well, we'll leave him out of this, I think. These other symbols are also new to me. With one finger, she outlined a rectangle containing 8 carvings that were much alike. A circle and an arrow. But in half, the arrow was contained inside the circle, while in the others, the point pierced the circle through. The arrows pointed left, right, up, and down, and surrounding each circle was a different line of what Rand was sure was script, though in no language he knew. All curving lines that suddenly became jagged hooks, then flowed on again. At least,
Hopefully that's not too long of a
I know
drive.
this much about them. Each stands for a world, the study of which led eventually to the making of the ways. These are not all of the worlds studied, but the only ones for which I know the symbols. This is where gambling comes in. I don't know
Yes, I am
what
too. I don't like
worlds
getting
is like.
upset or mad, but
It is believed
you
there
get
are
me to that
worlds where
point,
a year is only a
it's
day,
not good.
and others where a day is worlds where the very air would kill us at a breath, and worlds that don't have enough reality to hold together. I would not speculate on what might happen if we found ourselves in one of those. You must choose,
Mhm.
as my father would have said. Who rolled the dice? Rand stared, shaking his head.
That's the bad part sometimes.
Whatever I
You
choose.
try not to be, but when you get to that point,
Are you not willing to take that
it's not
risk
going to be very nice. And
for the Horn of Valia?
if you like it, it's even worse for that person,
Why are you so willing to take it?
especially if you're good
I
at
don't
it.
even know if I can do it. It doesn't work every time I try. He knew no one had come any closer, but he looked anyway. All of them waited in a loose circle around the stone, watching, but not close enough to eavesdrop. Sometimes Saidin is just there. I can feel it. But it might as well be on the moon as far as touching it. And even if it does work, what if I take us someplace we can't breathe? What good will that do, man? For the Horn. You are the dragon reborn, she said quietly. Oh, you can die, but I don't think the pattern will let you die until it is done with you. Then again, the shadow lies on the pattern now. And who can say how that affects the weaving? All you can do is follow your destiny. I am Randolph Thor, he growled. I am not the dragon reborn. I won't be a false dragon. You are what you are. Will you choose, or will you stand here until your friend dies? Rand heard his teeth grinding and forced himself to unclench his jaw. The symbols could all have been exactly alike for all they meant to him. The script could as well have been a chicken's scratching. At last he settled on one with an arrow pointing left because it pointed toward Toman Head. An arrow that pierced the circle because it had broken free as he wanted to. He wanted to laugh. Such small things on which to gamble all their lives. Come closer, Darren ordered the others. It will be best if you are near. They obeyed with only a little hesitation. It is time to begin,
Right, I
he
definitely,
said, as they gathered.
definitely like the series.
She
And
threw back
this
the
is
book,
already
put her hands on the column,
book 2.
but Rand saw her watching him from the
And
corner of her eye. He
let's
was
see
aware
where
of nervous
about.
coughing and throat sweat from the men around the stone. It's someone hanging back. A weak
Whereabouts we are before
gulp from Loyal.
we have to go into.
He took the voice.
And we still got a little bit of ways. Chapter 37 out of, what is it, 49 chapters.
Leaving only emptiness.
And then it'll be up to The Dragon Reborn, will be the next book.
He reached for it, and it filled him, made him alive. He did not move a muscle.
No, there's,
Quivering with the rush of
watch,
blood
I can find it real quick.
The symbol formed itself, an arrow piercing a circle, floating just beyond the void, as hard as the stuff it was carved on. He let the one power flow through him to the symbol.
There
The symbol
is
flickered.
14 books in the series.
Happening, Barrett said. Something.
And we're only on book
The
2.
world flickered. The iron lock spun across the farmhouse floor, and Rand dropped the hot tea kettle as a huge figure with ram's horns on its head loomed in the doorway with the darkness of winter night behind it. Run! Tam shouted. His Trolloc toppled, but it grappled
And
with
they're
Tam
all-
as it fell, pulling him down.
They all range about
More crowded in at the door. Black male
I'd say
shapes
about
with human faces distorted
40
with
to
muzzles and beaks and
60
horns.
hours read time, maybe, give or take.
Stabbing at Tam as he
I
tried
think
to
some
cover
as low
his
as like
feet.
30 something
Smart axes
hours.
swinging. Red blood on steel.
Let me see.
Father! Rand screamed. Clawing his belt knife from its sheath, he threw himself over the table to help his father, and screamed again as the first sword ran through his chest. Blood bubbled up into his mouth, and a voice whispered inside his head, I have won again, Luz Therin. Flicker. Rand struggled to hold the symbol, dimly aware of Baron's voice. Is not the power flooded? Flicker. Rand was happy after he married Egwene, and tried not to let the moods take him, the times when he thought there should have been something more, something different. News of the world outside.
Yeah, they all range about 30 to 50 hours each book, depending on the
Always
book.
news of fresh troubles, of wars and false dragons everywhere. There was a year when neither merchants nor peddlers came, and when they returned
Yeah.
next,
Some are
they brought word
24,
that
some are
other armies
28,
had come back.
but they're all relatively
The old nation
long
were broken,
books,
it was said, and the world's new masters who used chained Aes Sedai in their battles.
which I don't mind.
Torn down the White Tower and sold
I've read most of them too. Yeah, their books are like
Aes Sedai.
800
It
to
all made little difference in the two.
sometimes 1,000 pages.
Still had to be planted, sheep sheared, lambs tended. Tam had grandsons and granddaughters to dandle on his knee before he was laid to rest beside his wife. The old farmhouse grew new rooms. Egwene became wisdom, and most thought she was even better than the old wisdom Nynaeve Almira had been.
Right.
Whose as well she was.
Flicker.
for Cures
There you go. Flicker,
miraculously
flicker,
on
flicker.
others were only just able to keep Rand alive from the sickness that constantly seemed to threaten him. His mood
I remember reading this, getting to this part. Just kept going.
Was meant to be. Egwene grew frightened when the
And
mood
before I know it, it's already been
swung.
like a couple
Strange
hours of
things
reading.
sometimes happened when he was at his weakest. Lightning storms she had not heard listened to. Wildfires in the forest. But she loved him and cared for him and kept him safe.
Get some more
Some
water.
muttered that Randolph Thor was crazy and dangerous. When she died, he sat alone for long hours by her grave, tears soaking his gray-flecked beard. His sickness came back, and he wasted. He lost the last 2 fingers on his right hand, and one on his left. His ears looked like scars, and men muttered that he smelled of decay. His blackness deepened.
Right.
Yet when the dire news came, none refused to accept him at their side. Trollocs and Fades and things undreamed of had burst out of the Blight, and the world's new masters were being thrown back for all the powers they wielded. So Rand took up the bow. He had just fingers enough left to shoot, and limped with those who marched north to the River Torrent. Men from every village, farm, and corner of the 2 rivers, with their bows and axes and boar spears and swords that had lain rusting in attics. Rand wore a sword too, with a heron on the blade, that he had found after Tam died, though he knew nothing of how to use it. Women came too, shouldering what weapons they could find, marching alongside the men. Some laughed, saying that they had the strange feeling they had done this before. And at the Tarn, the people of the Two Rivers met the invaders. Endless ranks of frolics led by nightmare fades beneath a dead black banner that seemed to eat the light. Rand saw that banner and thought the madness had taken
Right.
him again, for it seemed that this was what he had been born for, to fight that banner. He sent every arrow out, his skill in the void would serve, never worrying about the Trollocs forcing their way across the river, or the men and women dying to either side of him. It was one of those Trollocs that ran him through before it loped howling for blood deeper into the Two Rivers.
Cool.
And as he lay on the bank of the Tarn, watching the sky seem to grow dark at noon, breath coming ever slower, he heard a voice say, "I have won again, Luz Therin." Flicker. The arrow and circle contorted into parallel wavy lines, and he fought it back again. Theron's voice, "Right. Something..." The power raged. Flicker. Tam tried to console Rand when Egwene took sick and died just a week before their wedding. Nynaeve tried too, but she was shaken herself, since for all her skill she had no idea what it was that had killed the girl. Rand had sat outside Egwene's house while she died, and there seemed to be nowhere in Emond's Field he could go that he did not still hear her screaming. He knew he could not stay. Tam gave him a sword with a heron-marked blade, and though he explained little of how a shepherd in the Two Rivers had come by such a thing, he taught Rand how to use it. On the day Rand left, Tam gave him a letter he said might get Rand taken into the army of Ilion, and hugged him and said, "I've never had another son or wanted another. Come back with a wife like I did if you can, boy, but come back in any case." Rand had his money stolen in Baerlon, though, and his letter of introduction, and almost his sword. And he met a woman called Min who told him such crazy things about himself that he finally left the city to get away from her. Eventually, his wanderings brought him to Caemlyn, and there his skill with the sword earned him a place in the Queen's Guards. Sometimes he found himself looking at the daughter heir Elaine, and at such times he was filled with odd thoughts that this was not the way things were
Hey,
supposed to be,
Soy, how you doing?
that there should be something
It's
more
not
to
going
life.
too bad. Just
Elaine did not
chilling.
look at him, of course.
How's your day
She
going?
married a tyrant prince, though she did not seem happy in it. Rand was just a soldier, once a shepherd from a small village so far toward the western border that only lines on a map any longer truly connected it to Andor. Besides, he had a dark reputation as a man of violent moods. Some said he was mad, and
Oh, shit.
at times perhaps not even his skill with the sword would have kept him in the guard.
Did you end up waking the
These were not
wifey up?
ordinary times. False dragons sprang up like weeds. Every time one was taken
Oh,
down,
shit.
two
Now
more
you're on
would
break
claim
from
themselves,
work?
or three, till every nation was torn by war. And Rand's star.
Oh, yeah,
rose,
Caucasian
his brother was
Sasquatch. You have a good one, bro.
a secret he knew he had to keep, and did. He could channel. There were always
Hope work's going
places,
good for you,
times,
Soy.
battle, when a little channeling, not big enough to be noticed in the confusion, could make luck. Sometimes it worked, this channeling, and sometimes not. But it worked often enough.
Much love to you too,
He knew he
brother.
was mad and did not care. A wasting sickness came on him. And he did not care about that either, and neither did anyone else. A word had come that Utter Hawkwing's armies had returned to reclaim the land.
Oh,
Rand
4-day
led
break.
1,000 men when the
Nice.
Guards crossed the mountains of mist.
That's even
Never
better.
thought of turning aside to visit the Two Rivers. He seldom thought of the Two Rivers at all anymore. He commanded the guard when the shattered remnants retreated back across the mountains.
Oh, yeah.
The length of Andor he fought and fell back amid hordes of fleeing refugees until at last he came to Caemlyn. Many of the people of Caemlyn had fled already, and many counseled the army to retreat further. But Elaine was queen now, and vowed she would not leave Caemlyn. She would not look at his ruined face, scarred by his sickness. But he could not leave her. And so what was left of the Queen's guards prepared to defend the Queen while her people ran. The power came to him during the battle for Caemlyn, and he hurled lightning
We're
fire
listening
among
to,
the invaders and split the
Book
earth
2 in
under
the
their
series, The Great
feet.
Hunt.
The feeling came again too.
We're a little bit,
that he had been
we're a
born
little
for
bit more than
something
halfway
else. For
through
all
it
he did,
already.
there were too many of the enemy to stop, and they also had those who could channel. At last, a lightning bolt hurled Rand from the palace wall and burned. And as his
Was
last
the
breath
Great
bowed in his
Hunt
throat, he heard a voice whisper, "I have won
by
again,
Robert Jordan.
Luz Therin." Flicker. Rand struggled to hold the void as it quivered under the hammer blows of the world flickering. To hold the one symbol as 1,000 of them darted along the surface of the void. He struggled to hold on to any one symbol. Is wrong, Baron screamed. The power was everything. Flicker, 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 flicker. He was a soldier, he was a shepherd, he was a beggar and a king. He was farmer,
Nice.
crewman, sailor, carpenter.
Definitely a good book
He was
series.
born,
I've read
lived,
the books
died,
too.
He died mad. He died rotting. He died of sickness, accident, age. He was executed in multitudes.
But it's definitely better than,
He proclaimed himself
I don't
the
know.
dragon
I like
reborn,
reading it
flung
too
his
because you
banner
can get
across the
zoned
sky.
out,
He ran from the
and
power
just
of it. He lived
keep
and died,
going,
never
but
knowing.
listening
He
to
held
it
off
too.
the
You can just
madness
sit
and
there
the
and
sickness
zone
for
out and
years. He succumbed to
smoke.
3 winters.
relax.
Sometimes Moraine came and took him away from the 2 rivers, alone or with those of his friends who had survived winter.
Oh shit.
Sometimes he
Nice.
did not. Sometimes
I have to
other
try to
Ashdod
see if I
went
can
with
get
him.
hold of a couple
Sometimes
native
the Red
books.
Ashdod. Egwene married him. Egwene,
Nice.
faced in the stole of the Amarlin seat, led the Aes Sedai who gentled him. Egwene, with tears in
Might
her
have to try to
eyes,
get a
plunged
book for that
dagger
just so we
into
can
his
listen
heart,
to it.
and he thanked her as he died. He loved
Oh
other
yeah.
women, married other women,
I'll try to take a couple more hits.
and a fair-haired farmer's daughter met on the road.
Bronchitis doesn't like me smoking
And
at
women he
night
had
for
never
some
seen
reason.
before. He lived those lives. 100 more. So many he could not count them. And at the end of every story, as he lay dying, as he drew final breath, a voice whispered in his ear, "I have won again, Blue Theron." Flicker, 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 flicker.
Yeah, part native, part Mexican.
Flicker, 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 flicker. The void vanished. Contact with Saidin fled. Rand fell with a thud. It would have been
I'm slowly getting
He
better.
had not already been half numb. He felt rough stone under his cheek and his hands. It was
And I've been taking it easy on my smoking
He
at
was
night
aware of
because
Theron struggling
this same
with
ball
the
I've been
back
working
foot
on
as he
for a
raised.
couple of days.
He heard someone vomit roughly and raised his head. Uno was kneeling on the ground, scrubbing the back of his hand across his mouth. Everyone looked
Mexican
down, and the
Indian.
horses stood stiff-legged and quivering, eyes wild and rolling. Ingtar had his sword out, gripping the hilt so hard the blade shook, staring at nothing. Loyal sat sprawled, wide-eyed and stunned. Matt was huddled in a ball with his arms wrapped around his head, and Perrin had his fingers dug into his face as if he wanted to rip away
Right,
whatever
pretty
he had
much.
seen, or perhaps rip out the None of the soldiers were any better. Massima wept openly, tears streaming down his face, and Huron was looking around as if for a place to run. What? Rand stopped to swallow. He was lying on rough, weathered stone, half buried in the dirt. What happened? A surge of the one power. The Aes Sedai tottered to her feet and pulled her cloak tight with a shiver. It was as if we were being forced, pushed. It seemed to come out of nowhere. You must learn to control it. You must. That much of the power could burn you to a cinder. Baron, I lived. I was... He realized
No
the stone
shit.
under him was rounded.
That's a cool story.
Hastily, shakily, he pushed himself to his feet. Baron, I lived and died. I don't know how many times. Every time it was different, but it was me. It was me.
Yeah, 'cause my parents are, well, mine and my brother's parents are both
By those who knew the numbers of kings.
Mexican and Indian as well.
She seemed to be talking to herself. I've never heard it, but there is no reason we would not be born in those worlds. Yet the lives we lived would be different lives. Of course, different lives for the different ways things might have happened. Is that what happened? We saw how our lives could have been? I have won again, Luce Theron. No, I am Randolph Thor. Baron gave herself a shake and looked at him. Does it surprise you that your life might go differently if you made different choices, or different things happened to you? Though I never thought of we are here, though not as we hoped. Where is here? He demanded. The woods of Stedding Tsofu were gone, replaced by rolling land. There seemed
Because
to be
the native
forest
blood that
among
we
the
have
west
is
hills. It had been
Arapaho,
high in the day when they gathered
then
around
I
the
think
stern
it's
steading,
either
but here the sun stood
Comanche
low
or
before half
Apache.
moon in the gray sky. The handful of trees nearby were bare branched, or else had a few leaves bright with color. A cold wind gusted from the east, sending leaves scurrying across the ground. So many things.
Yeah, but I think it's Arapaho and Comanche that we have.
You should not have tried to bring us directly here. I don't know what went wrong. I don't suppose I ever will. But from the trees, I would say it is well into late autumn. And we haven't gained any time by it. We've lost time. I would say we have
Because
easily
we're
spent
from
4
New
months,
Mexico, so
but I didn't.
let's see, there's Navajo
You must
here,
let me guide you in these things. I
Apache,
cannot teach you, it's true. But
I think some Comanche, then we got
and the rest of us. By
the
overreaching.
Sioux,
Even if
the
you do not
Pueblo
kill yourself,
Creek,
if the dragon reborn
and I think maybe a couple other ones I may be
Who will
forgetting.
face the dark one then? She did not wait for him to renew his protests, but went to Ingtar instead. The Shinaran gave a start when she touched his arm and looked at her with frantic eyes. I walk in the light, he said hoarsely. I will find the Horn of Valir and pull down Sheokul's power. I will. Of course you will.
Hell yeah, sorry, that's badass.
She took his face in her hands, and he drew a sudden breath, abruptly recovering from whatever had held him. Except that memory still lay in his eyes.
I think our last name, I've done some research from it on it.
See how I can help the rest.
I think it actually goes all the way to Spain.
But our past has not grown
Because there's a couple, there's someone I have on Facebook that has same last name and everything, but he's from like
When he tried to straighten Matt jerked and stared at him.
like Spain area type.
Rand, I never tell anyone about you. I wouldn't betray you. You have to believe that.
Be right back.
He looked worse than ever, but Rand thought it was mostly pride. I do, Rand said. He wondered what lives Matt had lived and what he had done. He must have told someone, or he wouldn't be so anxious about it. He could not hold it against him. Those had been other Matts, not this one. Besides, after some of the alternatives he had seen for himself, I believe you. Aaron? The curly-haired youth dropped his hands from his face with a sigh. Red marks scored his forehead and cheeks where his nails had dug in. His yellow eyes hid his thoughts. We don't have many choices, really, do we, Rand? Whatever happens, whatever we do, some things are almost always the same. He let out another long breath. Where are we? Is this one of those worlds you and Huron were talking about? It's tunnel ahead, Rand told him. In our world. Or so Baron says. And it is autumn. Matt looked worried. How could... No, I don't want to know how it happened. But how are we going to find Fane and the dagger now? He could be anywhere by this time. He's here, Rand assured him. He hoped he was right. Fane had had time to take ship for any place he wanted to go. Time to ride to Emond's Field, or Tarvalin. Please, Light. He didn't get tired of waiting. If he's heard of Gwaine or anybody in Emond's Field, I'll... Light, burn me. I tried to come in time. The larger towns of Tunnel Head are all west of here, Baron announced loudly enough for all to hear. Everyone was on their feet again except for Rand and his two friends. She came and put her hands on Matt as she spoke. Not that there are many villages large enough to crawl towns. If we are to find any trace of the Dark Friends, to the west is the place to begin. I think we should not waste the daylight sitting here. When Matt blinked and stood up, he still looked low, but it moved smartly. She put her hands on Perrin. Rand backed away when she reached for him. Don't be foolish, she told him. I don't want your help, he said quietly. Or any Aes Sedai help. Her lips twitched. I should wish. They mounted immediately and rode west, leaving the portal stone behind. No one protested, Rand least of all. Let me not be too late.
Chapter 38. Practice. Sitting cross-legged on her bed in her white dress, Egwene made 3 tiny balls of light weave patterns above her hands. She was not supposed to do this without at least one of the accepted to supervise, but Nynaeve, glaring and striding up and down in front of the small fireplace, did after all wear the serpent ring given to the accepted, and her white dress had the colored rings encircling the hem, even if she was not allowed to try to teach anyone yet. And Egwene had found over these last 13 weeks that she could not resist. She knew how easy it was to touch saidar now. She could always feel it there, waiting for her, like the smell of perfume or the feel of silk, drawing her. And once she did touch it, she could rarely stop from channeling, or at least trying to. She failed almost as often as she succeeded, but that was only another spur to keep on. It often frightened her. How much she wanted to channel frightened her, and how drab and dreary she felt when she was not channeling compared to when she was. She wanted to drink it all in, despite the cautions about burning herself out, and that wanting frightened her most of all. Sometimes she wished she had never come to Tar Valon, but the fright could not make her stop for long, any more than the fear of being caught by an Aes Sedai or by any of the accepted beside Nynaeve. It was safe enough here, though, in her own room. Min was there, sitting on the three-legged stool, watching her, but she knew Min well enough now to know Min would never report her. She thought she was lucky to have made 2 good friends since coming to Tar Valon. It was a little windowless room, as all novices' rooms were. 3 short paces took Nynaeve from wall to white-plastered wall. Nynaeve's own room was much larger, but since she had made no friends among the other accepted, she came to Egwene's room when she needed someone to talk to, even as now when she did not talk at all. The tiny fire on the narrow hearth handily kept the first chill of approaching autumn at bay, though Egwene was sure it would not serve so well when winter came. A small table for study completed the furnishings, and her belongings hung neatly on a row of pegs on the wall, or sat on the short shelf above the table. Novices were usually kept too busy to spend time in their rooms, but today was a free day, only the 3rd since she and Nynaeve had come to the White Tower. Ailes was making calf eyes at Galad today while he was working with the warders, Min said, rocking the stool on 2 legs. The small balls faltered for an instant above Egwene's hands. She can look at whoever she wants, Egwene said casually. I can't imagine why I would be interested. No reason, I suppose. He is awfully handsome, if you don't mind him being so rigid. Very nice to look at, especially with his shirt off. The balls spun furiously. I certainly have no desire to look at Galad, with or without his shirt. I shouldn't tease you, Min said contritely. I'm sorry for that. But you do like to look at him. Don't grimace at me like that. And so does nearly every woman in the White Tower who isn't a red.
Alright, everyone, probably gonna call it into this life right now. Seems like I can't lay down and get some sleep. I want to thank everyone who keeps coming by and chilling with me for the little bit they do. And
the balls stopped dead.
I want to thank everyone for their support. And
they vanished.
Yeah, definitely appreciate all y'all's love and support.
Even when he walks, he looks
I hope everyone stays safe out there. Till next time, everyone.
Cheeks deeper.